Today, we're stepping into 231 BC, when the Aetolians surrounded the city of Medion and prepared to break it with fire and stone. But what began as a confident siege would soon be overturned by a force no one expected. Welcome to the House of Besa, where your word becomes an oath, and every oath is Besa. In 231 BC, the Aetolians marched southward into Acarnania, their forces gathering under banners that bore the weight of expansion. Their destination was Medion, a fortified city set among hills overlooking the Ionian coast, one of the last Acarnanian strongholds resisting Aetolian control. Columns of troops crossed the valleys. Cavalry moved ahead to secure the roads, and before long, the Aetolian army encircled the city. Siege engines rose, camps spread across the slopes, and smoke from their fires could be seen for miles. The Aetolians began their assault methodically. From the lower slopes, catapults launched stones against the walls, shaking the towers and sending fragments of masonry falling into the streets. They advanced further, confidently bringing their battering ram toward the city gates. Behind them, infantry units carrying ladders pressed forward, aiming to scale the defenses once the walls were weakened. From above, the Medionian defenders fought back fiercely. Arrows and javelins rained down from the ramparts, striking the attackers as they approached. Buckets of sand and burning oil were thrown upon the siege machines, while local militias worked through the night to repair the breaches. The siege settled into a rhythm of attack and resistance. Day after day, the sound of catapults, rams, and shouting filled the hills around Medion. For the people within the city, the walls became both protection and prison. Supplies dwindled, and the hope of relief faded with each passing dawn. Messengers slipped through enemy lines by night, seeking aid, while nearby villages watched the rising siege with unease. This enemy was known for their speed and ferocity. Few believed any force could arrive in time to intervene. The Aetolians were confident and experienced, and their commander, Ariston of Draconian, had already built a reputation for effective leadership, though illness kept him from the campaign. His officers continued the siege, expecting a quick victory. Unknown to the Aetolians on the slopes below, the sea itself was about to turn against them. Agron, king of the Ardii, had been approached by the Acarnanians with urgent pleas. According to Polybius, he received their envoys while celebrating another recent victory and, inflamed with ambition, immediately ordered a massive expedition. Within days, the Illyrians set sail from their base in the Adriatic. The fleet that approached the Acarnanian coast was composed of limbi, light, single-banked Illyrian vessels, fast and agile, ideal for sudden coastal strikes. Around 100 of them appeared off the shores near Medion, their black prows cutting through the sea in tight formation. The Aetolian watchers stationed along the ridges caught sight of sails on the horizon. At first, only a handful, then dozens more. What they had expected to be a local skirmish was becoming a greater threat. The Illyrians executed their landing with practiced precision. They avoided the main beaches, steering instead toward a narrow stretch of coastline shielded by rocky outcrops. Under cover of early morning haze, they brought their vessels ashore and began disembarking. 5,000 Illyrian warriors, armed with long oval shields, short swords, and heavy javelins. Their scouts identified the weakest part of the Aetolian encirclement, where supply routes wound down from the hills. the Aetolian besiegers found themselves suddenly pressed between two dangers: the defenders above and the approaching Illyrian column below. When the Illyrians struck, they did so with characteristic violence. Their charge up the hill was steep and chaotic, but effective. Aetolian outposts collapsed in moments, and the alarm spread through the siege camps. Officers scrambled to form a defensive line, unaware of how quickly the Illyrian momentum was building. Polybius describes the scene vividly. The Illyrians advanced in wedge formation, thrusting the Aetolians from the heights and forcing them down the slopes in disorder. Driven downhill, the Aetolians attempted to regroup near their siege engines, but this only worsened their situation. The Illyrians pressed them against the very walls they had been trying to storm. From the battlements, the Medionians, confused at first, soon realized the tide had turned. They surged back into the fight. From above, defenders hurled javelins into the chaotic Aetolian ranks, striking men trapped between two fronts. The same walls that had frustrated the Aetolians now funneled them into disastrous terrain. The final stage of the battle was, in Polybius's words, a general rout. Aetolian soldiers fled the field, abandoning rams, ladders, and catapults. Some attempted to escape into the hills, others toward their distant camps, but the Illyrians pursued them relentlessly. Many were cut down, others were captured alive. The Illyrian victory was total. Medion, which had seemed doomed only days earlier, was saved. Once the battlefield quieted, the Illyrians collected the spoils, burned the abandoned siege engines, and marched triumphantly to the coast. Their withdrawal was swift. Agron's orders had been to relieve Medion, not to occupy the region. The Aetolian League, humiliated, would not forget the defeat. Nor would the Greeks forget the might of Agron's warriors. Their success at Medion would soon draw the attention of rising powers to the south. For it was this same Illyrian confidence, strengthened by victories like Medion, that shortly afterward brought them into conflict with Rome, triggering the First Illyrian War. Welcome to the House of Besa, where your word becomes an oath, and every oath is Besa.